Countdown to kick-off of the Premier League season. We do have an FA Cup final to look forward to, but it is the end of the season today. Who's going to win the Premier League? Are Manchester United going to go into their FA Cup final on a high? We are joined with Kev and Ricky and all of you guys in the chat as well. Get your comments in, get your thoughts in. But first and foremost, Ricky, you're back from your holidays.
I've not been on holiday, been away.
that is a shirt, can I just say, first of all, that is, yeah. I'm digging that.
Okay, you've been away.
Yeah, I've been away.
He looks like he's just come off the aeroplane and straight here.
I've been visiting people who live abroad. It's not been on holiday.
That is being on holiday.
Okay, fair enough.
You're in the sun.
But I've had a fantastic time anyway. I've had a fantastic time.
You're looking well, Ricky, fair play.
That is a holiday. Yeah. But,
go on.
I mean, first and foremost, are you excited for the season to end, and how are you feeling like going into this game off the back of a decent performance last game, which was a surprise to a lot of people? Yeah,
we seem to have just literally started playing well the last couple of games. Literally, so too little, far too late. And in a funny kind of way, I've been sort of looking forward to the season ending because it's been such a disaster. But since we've just suddenly started to play okay, I just wish we had 5 or 6 more games to see if we can continue that, or is it just like one of them things that's just happens to have happened? You know what I mean? But look, at the end of the day, we've got a cup final to play. I'd love us to get a good result today to take into that, and then obviously, very, very slim chance of beating City. Let's be honest, but I'll be hoping and praying.
Well, Kev, we've been waiting to get Ricky back into the studio because we have something to ask him, don't we? And what we have to ask you, Ricky, is can you admit that Manchester United are better with Bruno in the team?
Definitely not.
Oh, come
Ricky,
on!
Come on!
Definitely
let
not.
me down,
no,
man.
There'll be a better. Once he leaves us, I've said it for years. Once he leaves us, we will be a better team.
In the 2 games he didn't play, we didn't score a single goal.
In the 2 games he didn't play, Crystal Palace away, who were on fire, and Arsenal at home. It's a bit like saying.
Yeah,
it's a bit like saying Tyson Fury got knocked out by Usyk last night, but if I fight you, I'll beat you. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous comment. We're not going to score goals against Crystal Palace the way he plays, or against Arsenal.
Can you even admit that he played well against Newcastle?
He played well against Newcastle. Yeah.
Newcastle are a good side, by the way.
That's a great win. But the difference is, without any doubt, I've been back, and this will come up. I can't wait for his team to come up today. If he keeps McTominay, Mainu, and Amrabat all in the midfield. That was a difference against Arsenal. We played well against Arsenal, not just against Newcastle. We played well against Arsenal. 1-0, I know it was a 1-0 defeat. They're easily the second best team in the league. They didn't have loads of chances, and we had a couple of halves. We had one really good chance. We had one really good chance. Højlund should have scored after 5 minutes, and he slipped.
Yes, I remember.
One really good chance. Against Arsenal, we probably only expect to get 1 or 2 chances. What difference does it make?
What I would say, though, is Newcastle in the Cup, earlier on in the season, remember the team that played, I don't think Bruno didn't start in it. It was a team that was more up to your liking, Ricky, and they battered us at Old Trafford.
A long time ago, innit?
Exactly.
Can't remember what the team was that
Always
day.
got a reply.
I can't remember.
This man would make such a good politician.
I cannot remember what the team was that day.
It was the same team that beat Palace, and you were saying it was our best performance of the season. It wasn't the same team.
There was a couple of differences.
There was like one difference, I think.
Was there?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly.
Look,
Newcastle are a good side.
Football's football, isn't it? You can. It's like next week we're playing City in the cup final. I'd love him to play the team that I'd like him to play. Of course I would. But City and let's just say I was to name a team now and say I didn't put Bruno in it. I probably would actually, but only just. But say I didn't. Whether he plays or not, City might put 4 or 5 past us without us scoring. Do you not understand?
To be fair,
yeah, but that can apply to anything. You could say about anything.
So easily can happen.
You did say.
I don't say that Crystal Palace might not beat us 4-0 that night. They were absolutely on fire.
Yeah, they did play
no matter who would have played for us.
You did say that Bruno would be in your starting 11 for the final. Then.
Yes, just.
Which is some good going considering where your opinions have been. So he's done well to
That's
get in
a compliment.
Yeah, that is a compliment.
There is a compliment in there somewhere, Ricky.
But Kev. On Bruno, I mean, personally for me, I think he's up there with candidates for Player of the Season. Ricky, don't shoot the messenger. But how important is he today, and to have him back into the team, in your opinion?
I said midweek. I don't think it's an overreaction just from the Newcastle game, but I did say you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And I think the 2 games, I take into consideration what Ricky says against Arsenal. Defensively, we were good, but I just thought we lacked that individual talent, just somebody to unlock, the door kind of thing. And against Newcastle, it was just clearly evident. Some of the passes that Bruno Fernandes sees, other players don't see. And I get it, Ricky likes people that can use the ball properly and stuff, keep the ball and that, but you need somebody. Were you yawning then? The disrespect here, honestly, I can't believe it, man. Well, what?
He did play some good passes.
You're the person, right, that always says on the fan forum or whatever, and you've asked Beth this question before of what does Bruno bring to this team, as in, you can't see what he brings to it.
Yeah.
He does. You've surely to Christ, you have to admit.
He played some really good passes that night. I also always say to you that I prefer to watch the game again. I've not had the chance to do that. I've been away. I watched it in a pub. It's not like, you don't watch the game proper in a pub like you do at home. Yeah. And also, I've not had the chance to re-watch it. No matter where you watch it, you're better off watching it a second time. But from what I saw on the night, Bruno played well.
Yeah,
from
he was
what
good.
I saw
Very
on
good.
the night, Bruno played well. Whether we would still, after the Arsenal game, with the 3 solid midfield players that played against Arsenal, and we didn't create loads of chances against Arsenal, but we created loads of chances where we could have created chances. If you follow what I mean.
Oh my gosh, come on.
No, we did. We got Garnacho. Okay. We must have got Garnacho into dangerous positions 12 times. 10 or 12 times.
That happens quite a lot, though. Garnacho does get in dangerous positions.
Maybe it does, but in that game it was no fewer than we normally do. We regularly got Garnacho into really dangerous positions in that game, and nothing came from it. That's only Garnacho's. It could be a bit harsh because you'd also need players finding a bit of space for him to pass through, but he doesn't really look up that well. Garnacho, to me, that day should have done a lot better, and just for that one player, if he'd have done a lot better, we could have got a goal or 2. So you get yourselves working to get yourselves into these situations where you've got a player in a dangerous position. Not a dangerous position where you might expect him to score, but he's the man who's there to make that last pass that gives us a chance. And it was him, to me, that didn't play well enough against Arsenal. Now, Ahmad didn't make chances either, but Ahmad, to me, plays the game in a different way. He helps us move the ball around the field, which ends up with Garnacho getting the ball in a dangerous position. He's like a supplier to the supplier, the way he plays the game, but then the supplier, to me, is not doing his job.
Well, we'll talk about Ahmad in a second, and I want to talk about Garnacho as well. But everyone in the comments, get all your thoughts in, get your super chats in. Let us know, do you think Erik ten Hag will play Amrabat and Ahmad today? Because it's going to be interesting. We're talking about how today might give us an indication of who's going to play in the cup final maybe, and what sort of lineup's going to be. Obviously, Højlund came off the bench and scored. Rashford's back now. Are Ahmad and Amrabat going to stay in the 11? We've got centre-backs back coming back. Is Casemiro going to move into midfield? Is Amrabat going to lose his place? Is that the right thing? Get in all your comments and all your chats, and we'll get the lineup as soon as we can to bring to you. But on that, today, Garnacho started something silly like 37 games in a row for Manchester United. He's only 19 years old. He does look knackered. And I do think we are starting to see in his game, over the last few games, the tiredness and even the mental fatigue as well in some of his decision makings. Ricky, do you think today with Rashford coming back and because of how well Ahmad's playing, do you think Garnacho might get benched today?
It could do, but we spoke very briefly off air, didn't we, that we're not really sure what's in the manager's mind with each individual in the team, whether you don't really know if he leaves somebody out today, if he leaves him out because he's thinking of leaving him out of the cup final, but he might leave somebody out because he's thinking of playing him in the cup final.
So like Rashford.
It is a tricky one,
you don't know, just by looking at what he does today, you don't really know what his thoughts are. Some managers like to try and get the best team they can possibly field the week before the cup final to give that team a bit of a chance to gel together before they play in the cup final. But other managers might think, well, I don't want him to get injured this week. He's not playing. You see that quite often.
Well,
big star players get rested. And by the way, you know, if he thinks Bruno is such a big, important star player for us, maybe he shouldn't play today. But, you know, he might not think like that, though.
No, he will play. He will absolutely.
That's why I think it's hard to read into this, because I was thinking team selection today, once it drops, you'll look at it and it might be a clear indication of what he's going to do in the FA Cup final. But necessarily, you know, you can look at players like you say, if we're in the position now to be resting players, but then there's the argument that, well, who actually deserves a rest? Yeah, Garnacho looks like he's actually blowing at this moment in time. But just looking at that team and thinking how he's going to sell. The interesting one for me will be if Bruno does play the false nine today. To me, I think that gives you a clear indication going into the cup final that this is something he's experimenting with. He's only had a couple of games like going into the FA Cup final, but he is going to kind of roll with that.
My personal opinion is I think whether it happens today or not, I do think Bruno will play as the false nine in the cup final, which is really unfortunate to Rasmus because obviously he's worked so hard all season and, you know,
it's horses for courses. You're playing against Manchester City, like you said off air as well earlier about getting that extra man in midfield. You're playing against Manchester City. Now, if you have to sacrifice Højlund, that's why I think last weekend he's experimented with this, and obviously when we do get the team news, you know, you'll have a bit of an indication. But if Bruno is the false nine today again, that's an indication surely that this is something that he's got one game left now before next week, you know, an actual competitive kind of game to go into. So it'll be really interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I just, at the end of the day, you can't be thinking about players' feelings and emotions going into it. You've got to pick the best team to get the job done, and I think we absolutely are going to need that extra man in midfield against City, like you said. And there's certain players that are going to have to play, and that it makes the forward line really interesting because Ricky, again, I expect Rashford to start today. Now he's back fit. I do think Garnacho might end up being benched. Let's run a poll actually on that. Should Garnacho be benched today? Should Garnacho be benched? We'll run a poll on it and get your opinions. I think Rashford will start today, but say Ahmad now, his form picking up and him doing really well, that's again another thing that Erik ten Hag's got to deal with going into the cup final. Because if you think about it, like if Bruno does start as false nine, that's the striker spot gone. You could have a situation where both Højlund and Garnacho could be on the bench in a cup final when they've been key players for Man United all season. Does Rashford deserve to start? He's got such a good record against City and against big teams. Is that going to enter the thought of Erik ten Hag's mind? And will Ahmad keep his place because of his good run of form, or will ten Hag revert and put him back on the bench?
Remains to be seen, doesn't it? No idea really, but I know what I'd do.
What would you do?
Ahmad knocks spots off all of them. He's got to play. He's the best, and the manager should be ashamed of himself the way he's been treated this season. He should be absolutely ashamed of himself. I mean, we're just YouTube people, and we've been sitting there on the forum
YouTube people.
For months, haven't we? For months, saying, you know, we've sat here numerous times where Ahmad's been on the bench and the wingers have been useless and they've not even brought him on, or they brought him on with 4 minutes to go or 6 minutes to go. Yeah. And we're saying, what is he thinking? Is he thinking that he's that much worse than all these players? Because he's got it completely the wrong way round, and he's the manager of Manchester United. How much is he on a year, Beth? Do you know? He's the manager of Manchester United, and he's got the players here. He's got Ahmad there, and it's like that. He couldn't have it more wrong. He couldn't have it more wrong, and my blood's boiling.
I've said
and he's coming to this game for two games, and he's showing it. Yeah. And we've been banging on about it for months.
And Ricky,
and we're just YouTube people.
It's Arsenal and Newcastle. It's not as if it's Sheffield United,
exactly,
is it?
Exactly. Yeah. Same applies to the midfield three as well, by the way.
Ahmad should be starting, no doubt. If you're going on current form, and we are down to the bare bones, we haven't got whatever our strongest 11 is going to be. But I always maintain that Ten Hag kind of made a rod for his own back with this, because he invested 90 million in Anthony, which at that stage, that money could have been spent well better, especially when you had a player like Ahmad already in your ranks that you could have worked with.
Well, it's interesting. I'll come back to you, Ricky, but you make a good point. It's interesting because a lot of people saying he threw Polistrin as his only start of the season against Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and then he started Ahmad against Arsenal at home, like, you know, title contenders, and it's like, all right then, you know, you guys want him to start, let's start him in like the toughest game. But Ahmad actually came through that test because he played so well. So Ten Hag didn't really have an option of putting him back to the bench, because the fan base would have been absolutely fuming. And then he proved it again in the Newcastle game, another good team. And on top of that, we know that it's not all about, you know, the goals that you score. But he did score a goal on top of it. For all the people that love stats, that adds to that as well.
That's something I wanted to mention. When we've said that before, and I can't remember whether it's been on my Instagram page, it's probably been on both, or on it, because I sometimes read the comments after our shows, and I've seen people put things like, oh, what's so special? I'm not talking about his last 2 games, I'm talking about previously. What did Ahmad do? People seem to think that you've got to score a goal or create a goal to play well. You do not have to score a goal. You do not have to create a goal to play well. It was obvious, absolutely obvious, what a good player Ahmad was, with or without scoring a goal. And the icing on the cake this week is he gets an assist and a goal in the same game.
Yeah. There's no iron team, is there?
No.
We've got a few team news rumours coming in, but we've got Kelvin Miguel, a member for 10 months. Southampton should start, and for 15 mil, we should get him on a permanent deal. We'll ask Ricky's opinion on that in a second.
Who, sorry?
Amrabat. Thomas McArdle says, best team to play is not names, but form. And Cody W says, in my opinion, Garnacho has become really greedy and not in a good way. He has missed simple passes that could lead to better opportunities.
Arsenal.
Really interesting super chat there. I did notice in the Arsenal game, I agree with that. In the Newcastle game, he was looking up for the pass a little bit more, so maybe he'd been told on that. In terms of the Garnacho poll, I cannot see it in the chat, so if someone could tell me what the result is, I would be very interested to know. But the rumour is, everyone, that Lisandro Martinez starts for Manchester United today. Obviously, I said if Ten Hag wants to start him in the cup final, which I assume he does, he's going to have to start today to get some minutes under his belt. But that begs the question, because, presumably Johnny Evans is going to start alongside him. You've got a situation where, does Casemiro go to the bench? Which, in my opinion, he should.
Yeah.
Or does Amrabat get dropped after a really good performance?
Casemiro's played out of position. I don't think he's played great in his preferred position of central defensive midfield. Amrabat at the minute, and we're talking about players being picked purely on merit and how they're performing, Amrabat has to start today. And it probably sounds harsh as well, I'm not getting on at Casemiro, but if the Martinez comes back into the team, you've got better shape already, you've got somebody who actually knows that job, but at the same time, by God, it's such a huge risk. But he's obviously in his plans because he wants to start him in the final, and what better game to do that today. I did think he might bring him on as a bit later on in the game, but you've got a week really to the final, and haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, breaking news is coming out from Sam C Report. Sam says Garnacho does not start today, so we were right. He has been benched. I think he will start the cup final still, but after 37 starts in a row, I think Rashford's going to come back into the team. And breaking as well confirmed, Lisandro Martinez is back in the Manchester United starting 11. Ricky, thoughts?
On the Garnacho being benched today.
If he misses out on the cup final, I'm gutted for him. Yeah,
I'd be gutted for him, but I want to win the cup. I wouldn't pick him. I want to win the cup. There's no room for sentiment. I don't care how how you think he's played all season. He's played okay, and he's worked his socks off, and he's a young lad. But I just want to stop City. It'll probably be a double, won't it? They'll probably clinch the league title today. I want us to win it, and I want to stop City getting another double. And I don't care if somebody's played every single minute of the season. If I've got a better option, then I use the better option. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And pick the players that are on form. We mentioned about Amrabat before. He deserves to be in this team because he's playing in the position that he wants to. And he's looked good. He's played left back, wherever.
Yeah. The thing that you just said about Casemiro, if it is Evans and Martinez who play at centre back, which I assume it would be, if he puts Casemiro in midfield, I don't think he should break up this McTominay, Mainu and Amrabat midfield. I really don't. I think we've turned the corner. They've only played against Arsenal and Newcastle. Do you know what the other game was that they played in, by the way, all three of them? They've only played together once before these two games. Liverpool away, we got a 0-0 draw there. That's the last time they played together.
Got some other team news in as well from my own exclusive source. I can't reveal them, so just message me. But I've been told that Ahmad and Amrabat are also starting.
Good.
Right.
And so they should on current form.
Will Casemiro start? Is Casemiro going to start or not? No?
I don't think so.
I think unless he leaves out Mainu or McTominay for him, I can't see it. I really can't see it. And in the front line as well, I think you're going to find Bruno's playing on the wing. I think he's
on the right.
As he just said, Ahmad and Amrabat.
Yeah.
You could find it's Ahmad Because will he leave Højlund out again? It could be Ahmad. I can't wait to see. It could be Ahmad, Højlund and Bruno.
And this is why I'm saying this might give you an indication as to where his head is with the team that he wants to put out for the FA Cup final. That's why I'm saying if Højlund is benched, or however it looks, and he does go with Bruno as a false nine, it does give you an indication that this, he's running out of time. This is the last competitive game today that you can trial this and put it into match practice before, you've got a week then on the training ground, but in an actual match environment today to try that out again and see, because there's no doubt about it, next week you will need that extra man in midfield. But if Højlund is the fall guy, you're bang on. There's no room for sentiment. You can't feel sorry for any of them. You just have to look at it and you have to pick and set up the team pretty much probably like similar to Anfield, wasn't it? Where we went there, nobody gave us a hope in hell, and we actually defended really, really well. And like you said as well, at Anfield on the break, we had a couple of opportunities there where it could have been
it might be
a
all you
perfect
get,
game.
but it might be all you need. Obviously, you need to take
you've got to be
chances.
clinical. You have to be clinical.
Wow, so I'm hearing it's going to be Casemiro and Martinez at the back.
Wow.
For Manchester United, and Johnny Evans will be on the bench.
Wow.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Wow.
Well, that's a nice.
I mean, Casemiro and Martinez as a centre-back partnership is interesting. I mean, one thing I will say on Casemiro said, he's recently just done an interview and he said, I was considered one of the best signings of the Premier League last season and now I'm not worth anything anymore. The criticism is disrespectful, so when it's lacking respect, then it's worrying, and I don't have to respect that either. So coming out fighting a little bit there, Kev, what do you make of that?
Coming out fighting, yeah, of course, he's got his right to say it. It's any supporters, we sit here very often, if somebody, it's not abuse, is it? It's criticism. We're just looking at a performance, and I can tell you now from what I've seen of Casemiro this season, certainly not hit the heights of last season. Pundits have called it out, so it's not just us not being toxic. It's not like, we've got an agenda against Casemiro. I've defended him. I've said, listen, he is not a centre-back, and I take my hat off to that. I think, well, fair play. At least, he's actually stood up and said, I will play centre-back, but he has been caught out a couple of times. You've seen him sitting quite deep, playing players onside for a couple of goals recently. It's a tough one for him, but I appreciate the fact that he's we're down to the bare bones, aren't we? We don't centre-back pairing or whatever it's going to be, but it's a huge lift to get Martinez back. I mean, I'd love to get some great news this week that Varane might be back.
The goal against Arsenal, where he played them all on side, he was almost on the dead ball line when they won the ball back on the other side, or when it looked like they were going to break. And I don't know. Look, he's been criticised for not being fast enough, left, right, and centre. I get that, but on that occasion, it didn't even look to me, and I don't necessarily mean sprinting, I mean just getting out at 3/4 pace to make sure you're out. He didn't even look to be trying to get out. I couldn't grasp what he was doing, really.
This is where it comes from supporters, because we're there every week, you watch it, we're watching him, and you can actually see that he's almost like he's running with a pair of flippers on or concrete blocks as, kind of shoes, because you think, bloody hell, but then again, we'll get criticised saying, the United standard, scapegoating Casemiro or whatever, but, people in the mainstream media have seen this.
I don't think people will be saying that, because he's purely has been poor.
He's been poor, even playing as a central defensive midfielder. The last 4 games I can remember him playing in his preferred position, we've been on here, haven't we, after, and we've gone, bloody hell, is it taking him to get up to speed, but he's been getting caught on the ball. And I mean basic stuff where you look at a player that's won so much, so experienced, and you think, what has the drop-off been? But for him, he's come out fighting, like you say, but some players just get to this point now where the head is telling them, I know what I want to do, but you just can't do it, and it's such an integral part of the team.
I also don't think the system suits him that we're playing. I think it makes him look. I think it brings out the worst in him. To be honest with you, I think it is time to part ways.
It certainly did before these last 2 games. You know,
Yeah.
like against Palace, we didn't have enough players behind the ball. That's
Yeah.
why we got battered.
Yeah.
Not just the fault of the centre backs. I mean, I've said that time and time again. It's everybody points the finger at the centre backs, and he made a terrible error, Casemiro, for the first goal. But it simply wouldn't have happened if we had more players behind the ball. It was from a throw-in, and from that throw-in, we've got players ahead of the ball. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. Just get your players behind the ball, make them throw it backwards. You know what I mean? So although it looks like terrible for Casemiro, which it was, it wouldn't have happened if other players were in the right positions.
Ten Hag has cut that out the last 2 games, which is good to see, because it truly was like embarrassing, the shape that we were in. But Casemiro and Martinez as a centre-back partnership, apparently Evans and Varane are on the bench, so Varane back in the squad, which is good news. Evans looks like he was carrying a little bit of an injury, so maybe resting him for the final, I assume. I think Evans will play the final.
Clearly been rested.
I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on that, but I think he actually might play it. I might be wrong as well. But I think Martinez and Casemiro is a very, very risky centre-back partnership to play against Brighton. Martinez, I love him. I think he's top drawer, but he's only just coming back from injury. Casemiro isn't even a centre-back, and he's also very risky in the way he plays. I hope it works.
It's very risky, the Martinez one, really risky, because it was only a couple of weeks. He returned to training. Obviously, he got a bit of a cameo against Newcastle where he come on, where he played it kind of a back three, wasn't it, at that stage? It was just see out the game, just get a few minutes. To start him today, I mean, worst case scenario is he could possibly break down. But Ten Hag's at the point now with central defenders where he's probably thinking, this is the last chance now I've got of putting him in a game. If he can get through that another week's training, then at least he is a recognised centre-back. Because if you're going to choose... I think it's clear that Johnny Evans has been rested. It's insane to think that we're at this stage of the season, you know. And no disrespect to Johnny Evans, he's whenever he's been called upon against Crystal Palace, I think it was rumoured that he'd failed a fitness test before the match, but he still said he would play. You know, I like that. And in a team where we've had so many players, the likes of Wayne Rooney coming out with comments that he believes that there's certain players here that could be playing and are not up for the fight for whatever reasons, because the Euros is coming up. You've got to take your hat off. Johnny Evans has been really, really good, but it just tells you everything you need to know about the back line and the problems we got.
Apparently, Garnacho's back in the team now.
What's happened there?
I'm being told.
Change.
Someone give me some.
Was he ever out of the team then? You got to pick that.
Someone give me some clarification on that. Right now, but anyway, some super chats. Rudolph the Red, thoughts on Bruno last week, Ricky? Rudolph the Red says, thoughts on Bruno last week, Ricky? Have you seen the light now? Tune in to the start of the show. We spoke about it then.
He needs to watch it back. He's not watched it back yet.
He's a stubborn guy. United One says, agreed with Ricky. Sackable offence, the Ahmad treatment. Keep your super chats coming in. What do you think of the team? I mean, are you excited for today's game? I know it kind of is one of them games for us where there's not a lot on the line, but it's exciting to see how we could line up for the cup final. What are your thoughts on Martinez being back in? Who should partner Martinez for the cup final? Should Martinez even start the cup final? Get all your comments in down below. Apparently Garnacho is back in the team. I don't know if Rashford's failed a late fitness test. I don't know what it is.
Was it ever going to be Rashford? He didn't say it was Rashford.
Okay, so this is the team. This is the team now. I mean, I got my team news right. I'm joking. So it's Onana, Wan-Bissaka, Casemiro, Martinez, Diallo, Amrabat, Mainoo, McTominay, Garnacho, Ahmad and Fernandes.
So it is.
It's virtually the same team. There's one change, isn't there?
Martinez in for Evans.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is the only change.
Yeah, that strikes me that we're looking pretty closely here at his cup final lineup.
Yeah.
Because he's played them 3 games.
And the structure of what he wants to play.
Apart from one change each time, he's played the same team 3 games in a bounce.
Yeah. And he's obviously got a view to trying to get Martinez into that team by giving him game time today. But as I said earlier, before the team news broke about this false 9 thing, it's clearly he's got one eye on Manchester City and thinking, how can I combat that threat? And I agree with it. We have to see how it works today. It's when you're not playing with a recognised kind of a Højlund or a number 9, you're relying heavily then on wingers, aren't you? Or you forward players in them areas, because Bruno will set the tone without a shadow of a doubt. He'll chase, he'll close down and set the press. But if you're looking for a hell of a lot then from an Ahmad or Garnacho or whoever it is out wide.
Interesting that Rashford doesn't start. I don't know if something happened last minute where he was supposed to start and
Did
then
you ever
Garnacho
say it was Rashford?
No, all I got told was Garnacho wasn't, but I assumed it would have been Rashford. But I don't know what's
I was
happened.
going to ask you that. What made you think Rashford was going to start?
Because who else was going to start?
Well, I was thinking, because he's done it. I know you don't like it, but he's done it loads of times. I was thinking Bruno might have played on the right and Ahmad on the left, and Højlund might have come in. That's what I was thinking.
It's an option,
so in other words, it's Højlund ahead of Rashford, and surely Højlund's ahead of Rashford. I know it's a pecking...
As the number 9, you mean?
As a pecking order as well, really. He's more, even though they're in different positions, he's more likely to get the nod than Rashford, even though it means switching two players around. I think
well,
so.
Højlund
Anyway.
looks interesting,
I fancy Højlund would have played if Garnacho was dropped. That's what I think.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Højlund, Rashford and Anthony... That was Erik ten Hag's favoured front three. They're starting front three at the start of the season. They're all on the bench today. Yeah. And obviously, it worked kind of with Rasmus last game. He came off the bench and he scored a good goal and he looked good. I'm surprised. I am honestly really surprised Rashford hasn't started because he came into the team, played some minutes last game, and I would have thought Ten Hag would have started him. I don't know if he's because he's not ready fitness-wise yet.
Do you not realise how bad he is?
No, I wouldn't start him. I wouldn't start him, but I thought Erik ten Hag, because of how much he's favoured him,
thought he would
have started him ready for the cup final. And this makes me think Rashford might not start the cup final now.
He can't.
I don't know.
He cannot start that.
Surely not. Surely it'd just be music.
He's got a very good record against City.
Barring an injury or something,
Beth,
that would be
about
criminal.
The wrong way. We've got to stop them.
I'm just putting. I'm playing devil's advocate here, Ricky. I'm not saying what I would do.
We need wingers who are going to work hard, track back, stop the full backs.
You won't get that from him.
I'll be dead honest. I don't fancy Garnacho against Walker either. I really don't. But a little bit better than Rashford.
Rashford can't. If he's not starting today, what's he going to see in training over the next week? If whoever plays today, Garnacho and Ahmad, if they have another good game, that should seal their place in the cup final team. Now, where does Rashford come back in this week? What is he going to do in training or set? The training picture light where Ten Hag's going to go, he plays, unless he's got something in his contract where, he has to play. I think on current form, he's nowhere near that.
Obviously, it could go badly wrong today, If it goes okay today, you realise these have beaten us the last 4 times we played them in the league.
Yeah.
It used to be the other way round.
Yeah.
We used to say, they've not beaten us, these for 7. They've beaten us 4 times on the bounce in the league.
Yeah.
We also drew with them in the FA Cup, although we got through on pens, but in between them games. So 5 games on the actual field of play, 5 games on the bounce, we haven't beaten them. Yeah. So this is a tough game for us today. Yeah. And it's away, so even if we get a draw, it's not the end of the world. But if we draw, it's okay. If we win, it's great. If we get beat today, it might throw a cat amongst the pigeons. But that
could open the door for Rashford coming back in.
But if it goes okay today, I think the only thing he's going to be thinking about for the final is which centre-backs he's going to play. I think that's the only thing.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
The rest of the team picks itself, yeah.
Bowen out for West Ham.
Is it?
Below that. Big blow. Anyway, obviously, because we'll have an eye on that game, because obviously we all don't want City to win the league, but it's looking very likely. But come on, West Ham, come on, David Moyes, please.
Bowen's received a check in the post from Abu Dhabi, and he's saying,
don't say that, Kev.
There you go.
You'll get...
Cut that bit out.
Yeah.
Sorry. Say that
Allegedly, Kev.
Yeah.
You've got to say
My
that.
sources said that.
Really, you've got to say that.
My mate Steve told me.
I mean, it's interesting because we've actually got a bit of competition now because, Rashford's probably going to come off the bench. Højlund's going to come off the bench. They'll be thinking in the back of their heads, how can I get myself in that lineup for the cup final? I've got to come on here and do the business. So, do you know what? What if Rashford comes on and scores 2 goals? Then Erik ten Hag's going to be like, what am I going to do? Rasmus as well, if he comes on and scores again. These are questions, and it's healthy and it's a good thing for Manchester United to have this competition in the team. And hopefully, today, if we can get a good result and play well, like we have done the last couple of games, that puts us in a positive mindset and good stead going into a cup final where you've got competition, where you've got players that are really kind of hungry to get into this starting 11, and that's exactly what you want, isn't it?
You need, any great team, you have competition for places. I think this team so many times this season, we've sat here on build-up shows, and when the team news drops, it's just so predictable. There's never a wild card in there where you go, oh God, he's done this today, he's mixed it up. And there's certain players that, regardless of form, they could be well out of form, but seem to constantly get picked, and you look and you don't agree with it. But this minute in time, I mean, you talk about Ten Hag trying to save his job. He's got a massive game next weekend, which I don't personally think will defy whether he'll be here or not next season. But he has to do absolutely everything he can to win that game. Forget the fact that Anthony's his guy or whatever, and he was 90 mil. You know, you don't have him anywhere near the team. You play the strongest team, the one that's in form, regardless of whether it's been the last 2 or 3 games. Amrabat's in there because he started, and we haven't got much time now, so you just have to really go with your strongest team.
Well, I've got to say, finally, thank you, Eric, for actually rewarding good performances, because that's something he's not done, in my opinion, all season. But he looks like he's actually starting to do it now. Where back's against the wall and we're going into a really important game next week. So that's some good stuff. Super chat's coming in. Connor Tickle says, seen the light. Bruno's only good performance for 18 months. Connor, come on. Have a day off, Connor.
That's Ricky's burner account.
Flash Talk says, Ricky, can you give us a famous now then?
Now then. Sounded like Jimmy Summerlin.
Oh, God.
We're getting shut down there today on the United Stand.
Are we still live? Are we still on air? Are we still on air?
Now then.
Oh, my Lord.
Now then.
You've even got the yellow. You've even got the yellow shirt on as well. I mean, God. Anyway, move off topic.
That'll make the best bits for the Christmas clips anyway.
Yeah, it will do. I mean, the interesting thing, obviously, is the centre-back partnership. Kind of looking towards, I'm going to just have a little look at the Man United bench now, because we've not even read that out yet.
Oh, yeah, come on.
So the Man United bench is buying date, Evans, Kumbuala, Raphael Varane, Collier, Eriksen, Anthony, Højlund and Rashford.
So, much stronger bench than we've had for a while.
A much stronger bench. That, for me, rules Maguire and Lindelof out of the cup final, because if they're not even making the bench for today's game, I mean, they're not going to start in the cup final. They'd probably be on the bench, but they're not going to start. Varane, if he comes on, he's in with a shout. Evans as well, you'd think he was in with a shout. You'd think that Martinez is going to play the cup final. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how he goes with it, because, like you said, it's a centre-back partnership now that's kind of where everyone's attention is, because I think a lot of people would say different things, and I know that the majority of people would say Varane and Martinez, but Ricky, you wouldn't go with that, would you?
Evans has got to play, in my opinion, if he's fit. I mean, I think, like you've said, I think he maybe he's rested today for that game. It could be barking up the wrong tree, but I do think that he's probably, you know, he's not been playing full games, has he? He played a full game last week, but I think against Palace he played about an hour, 70 minutes. And then he came off against Arsenal, I think, after about 80 minutes. Last week he built up to a full game, but is that a coincidence now that this week he's not ready to start? If he's not ready to start, it may be that he's just dropped him, but I doubt that, because I think we've played better with him there. And I think, you know,
Varane's a huge lift. Even mentioning that name there, I think that's great. And I totally agree, Johnny Evans. If you could get Varane back at 60, even +% match fit, I think experience-wise, he's never let us down. He's somebody that, at least then, you've got a centre-back pairing that's got huge experience. They have played together before, you know, it isn't... And it sounds harsh to Casemiro, but does he really... Is he going to bed at night thinking, I've got this centre-back spot nailed down for the cup final? Because deep down, surely, he thinks, you know, I'm doing a job at the minute, doing his job, as Roy Keane would say, but surely deep down he must think, I'm not starting against Man City.
I'm only trying to read the manager's mind here, rather than think, I'm not putting my own idea forward, I'm trying to read the manager's mind. But how many games in a row has Casemiro played centre-back now? It's got to be 5 games.
It's got to be, I was going to say, 4 or 5.
I mean, is he going to start in the cup final?
He won't start there. He just won't.
Well, then, if he does, and you're putting him in central defensive midfield role, Amrabat's playing well at the minute. It's really harsh on Casemiro, but that's the only way you can get him into the team.
I mean, look, really we should be discussing this after the game. It's got to go well today for this argument to still hold water. But I wouldn't expect him to break up that midfield 3 if it goes well again. And then if he does move Casemiro out of there to put a different centre-back in, it'd be unfair to drop Amrabat, who'd be the obvious choice, really, because of the style of play.
It's the only one, It's a straight swap, isn't it?
I think what will happen is, sadly, I do think Amrabat will get dropped, and I think Casemiro will come in. I don't think if Amrabat
I'll argue against you after the game if it goes well today.
I mean, I hope it does. If it goes well today, you know, again, it gives Erik ten Hag another big decision. But I think that's something that Ten Hag might do, because he seems to, even when Casemiro is playing poorly, he seems to really rely upon him, really rate him. So he won't play centre back. He just won't. If we have the centre backs back that can play centre back, there's just no chance. I don't think. I do think he'll bring him into midfield, but like you said, if that midfield does well again today, it's a big question. Is Casemiro going to be on the bench for the cup final? I think personally he should be if Amrabat plays well today, but we'll wait and see. Get in the comments down below what you think. Who would you drop Casemiro for the cup final if all goes well today in the midfield? Let us know. I've seen a lot of people in the chat frustrated that Scott McTominay is starting, and honestly, I mean, I've not been the biggest Scott McTominay fan, but we're playing well with him in the team, and he is a name that would be on my team sheet for the cup final just through what he can give you in them sort of games.
If you're going to go down this false nine route, then the one thing McTominay will give you is he's a goal threat, isn't there? There is a goal in him. So if you sacrificing a striker in Højlund who has scored goals this season, and you're playing with a false nine in Bruno, who is capable of chipping in with goals as well, McTominay's one of his main strengths this season has certainly been scoring goals. He arrives in the box at the right time. You can't really teach that kind of thing. It comes very natural to him. The criticism that I've got of McTominay is he seems to have done his best things for Manchester United coming off the bench when United are chasing a game. And he does get into them positions, but I do think sometimes when you start him, he certainly goes missing for parts of the game. I know Ricky probably won't agree with that, but over a 90-minute performance, I think as an impact player, I've got no issue with McTominay, coming off the bench.
I really just do think. I really just do hope. I was just thinking about it then. I really just do hope everything goes all right for Lisandro Martinez today, and he manages to remain fit. Coming towards the end of the season.
I think hope we've not rushed him back, don't you? Because we are desperate.
You'd like to think Varane probably replaces him and gets some minutes before the cup final. Yeah. But Ricky, McTominay, your thoughts on this? Because a lot of people may be criticising that selection from Ten Hag, but I think McTominay is kind of proved why at this moment in time, maybe not in the future. I don't think in the future he should be a starter for United, but at this moment in time, he deserves to be starting, in your opinion.
100%, yeah. He's the one that can get up and down the field. We need bodies in the box at one end, and then we also need bodies in the box at the other end. I mean, Amrabat can't do that job. Casemiro, when he plays, can't do that job. Eriksen can't really do that job. He sort of gets up near the edge of the box, Eriksen, and then gets back. A lot of people think he doesn't get back, but he does. I've been studying it. I think McTominay's got to play. It's like, the running power that he's got helps us to have enough players or almost enough players up top when we're attacking, but then hopefully enough players again when we're defending. He's got that running power, even more so than Bruno has, in my opinion.
Will you tell everyone what you told me about the Olympic runner stat thing?
Yeah, I read an article that said that, and it was funny actually, because I heard Maud say that we need runners. I was watching the show the other night. We need fit players in the mid. We need people who can run. Maud said in the midfield. He couldn't be more right. It's a running game, and it's about being back behind the ball when they've got the ball, but also at least one or two of you being able to support the attack. So I read an article a while back that said Scott McTominay in training has been timed at the 5,000 metres almost to Olympic standard. Now, if that's true, he's probably the fittest man in the team. You know what I mean? So we do need players who can get up and down. And I link this to something else that I messaged you about the other night, Beth. I'm forever banging on that you need your play. When you get back into a team shape, say you've got 4 or 5 across the field, when you're all in positions, it might be this man who wins the ball back, or it might be this man who wins the ball back. But if you're not back in your position, maybe they don't pass it there, maybe they pass it here. So it doesn't matter who wins the ball back. If you're back, you're doing your job. You're keeping the shape, you're leaving small gaps, difficult for them to play through. So just by being back, you've been an assistant, if you like, in helping to win the ball back, even if it might be somebody else who wins it back. And I've said that on there. I've tried to explain that on here many, many times. And I was watching a match the other night. I was watching Leeds and Norwich in a playoff game. And Andy Hinchcliffe, who's played quite a few games for England, he was the co-commentator. And he said exactly those words while I was watching it. I messaged Beth straight away. I said, Andy Hinchcliffe's just explained on the TV what I've been trying to explain on the United stand. I can't remember which player he was talking about, but he said he needs to get back. He says you don't need to win a tackle, you don't need to win the ball back.
Behind the ball.
And he actually said you need to be behind the ball to try to make them pass it sideways or pass it backwards. And I must have said that 100 times on here. So we need players who are capable of getting up and down the field. It doesn't matter if you've got a couple of players who don't go too far up in midfield, but you can't have any that get too far forward and don't get back. But McTominay's capable of doing both things.
They are capable of doing it, because as I said earlier, you know, Anfield was the one that you looked at and you thought, as a team performance, you were like, bloody hell, this lot can do it. Now, there has been a drop-off, but for the instruction that day that Erik ten Hag, it was almost like everybody was singing from the same hymn sheet. Like you just said then, whenever Liverpool had the ball, it was, you know, everybody behind the ball, keep the shape. We restricted Liverpool, we frustrated them, it was all long shots, you know, and basically we managed to just limit them to pot shots from kind of 30 yards, and that worked for us. And we went through that game, navigated through it, thinking that we will create a chance, it's just whether we can take it. Now, we didn't. But, you know...
We did create the chance, we just didn't take it.
We just didn't take it, yeah. But on another day, it wouldn't have been smash and grab. It would have... Sir Alex Ferguson used to set up like this, you know, against big teams. You went away, you knew you were going to have moments where they had possession. But like you say, if you sit in and it's like, well, come on then, you know, have a go. But if they can't get through you, then it's almost like it's just being clinical as well, and then it's a perfect result. Yeah.
You've got to take your chance when it comes.
Got some super chats in, and then we'll talk about the formation. Stephen Willock says, fastest 5k without quality means nothing, my God. I think McTominay's been decent when he's been playing recently, and I'm not a McTominay fan. I've always said we need an upgrade on him, and I still do believe that. I still don't think he should start for United next season, but I do think
decent's good enough for United.
At this moment, I do think I would keep him as a squad player though, 100%. I'd keep him to come off the bench, but at this moment in time, I think he should be starting. I'll come to you in a sec, Rick. Just going to read these super chats out. Blakey said, "Who would you want to build a team around next season?" We can talk about that in a second. United One says, "Concerning how long it has taken Erik ten Hag to set up a team this way and finally get results. All season we heard fans like Mark claiming he had no alternative. Thoughts?"
What was that? No alternative for what?
So, United One says, concerning how long it's taken Ten Hag to set up a team this way and finally get results. All season we've heard fans like Mark claiming he had no alternative but to do what he was already doing.
It should be doing what I've been saying all season. Playing with 3 people in midfield who don't get too far forward. Go on.
Then Keil Robinson says, should we buy Evan Ferguson? I think Evan Ferguson's got a lot of potential. I don't know kind of
depends what price
where it's gone wrong. I know he got injuries with Brighton this season. He's been kind of in and out of the team, but I think the price will be priced out of that move. But Ricky, what did you want to say?
What was we on about? I forgot what it was now.
Oh yeah. Forgot what it was. Who would you build a team around? I mean, we'd all probably say different players, but I think I'm in a similar boat to Wayne Rooney, where it's like exactly what he said, Bruno and the youth. That's who I'd build my team around.
Kobe Mainoo, I'd say. I think at the age he is, you know, the kind of heartbeat at the midfield. If you look at, I agree to an extent with Rooney, but I mean, Fernandes is 29 now. I know he's a focal point of the team. He's the leader, the captain, whatever. But I think if you're looking more long term, you know, who's going to be here for the long kind of haul, then a Kobe Mainoo, you'd be looking to build it round.
Yeah,
I've remembered what I was going to say before you speaking about McTominay and whether you know whether he should be in the team, whether he should be a starter, blah blah blah, whether we should get rid of him. You don't really rate him that highly, and yet I often also hear you say that we could get 30-odd million quid for him. I don't understand. It doesn't seem to add up that. Why would we get 30-odd million quid for him if he's not very good?
For who, McTominay?
Yeah, why would we get 30-odd million quid for him?
Because
I think 30 million for him?
Yeah, 100%. Because I think.
So you rate him then?
Well, I'm just saying, like.
Doesn't add up, Kev,
market value.
I'm talking about teams that require that sort of profile to play that kind of way. Because eventually we want to be playing the way the likes of the Man Cities do, the Arsenals do. That's different to the way.
We've got to build up to that.
I know that. That's different.
It's just going to happen overnight.
I know that, and that's different to the way, for example, a West Ham plays. He's someone who's been interested in McTominay in the past. Fulham was interested in McTominay. I still say, genuinely, this season has changed my mind. I would keep him as a squad player because I think he knows what the club's about. I think off the bench he can do a job for you. He wouldn't be a starter for me, but I'd keep him as a squad player. I think squad's really important. It's like you say before, building around Manu. Absolutely, we've got to build around the youth, but youth also need experience. That's why Bruno will be massively important for me. And I do think you've got to have it's all about balance. It's all about balance in my opinion.
And we're going to lose a hell of a lot of experience this summer. If you obviously Varane has announced that he is going. We've mentioned Casemiro. I think a lot of us are looking at that and thinking, surely if United got, a bid, maybe Saudi Arabia or whatever, that you would certainly look to cash in and try and recoup some of that money back. So, you lose a Varane and a Casemiro straight away, the experience and stuff, Like you say, you need a blend, really, don't you, of experienced players? But you're gonna lose a hell of a lot this summer. It's such a huge summer.
I could come back to Ricky and say, well, if you don't think Bruno's any good, how come would teams bid 80 million for him?
We don't know they would, do we? Don't know.
They would. Stephen Willock.
So yeah.
Stephen Willock says. Stephen Willock says it's because you'd get 100 million for players that are good. Dan the Man 1986 says, could it be that Casemiro replaces McTominay in a double pivot with a false 9 system for the final? Lots of bite to the team. Could happen. Don't think it will. Interesting stuff, though. It is something to think about. You could play Amrabat and Casemiro together. Keep getting your super chats in. Only got 8 minutes left of the final Premier League countdown to kick off. Let us know your thoughts. Hit a like on the video as well. But we're going to talk about players to watch. Kev, you've gone with Bruno Fernandes for this game. And he's starting. Oh, yeah, I wanted to bring up the formation. That's what I was doing. We can talk about Bruno in that. So it's going round that the formation is going to be a 4-2-4. Yeah. So obviously you've got the 4 at the back, you've got the pivot with Amrabat and Manu, and then you've got on the right hand side Ahmad, basically both McTominay and Bruno playing as them false 9 positions.
Is that the same as the Newcastle game then?
Yeah,
that's what you had it set up, wasn't it? Yeah.
Basically. So McTominay is going to be playing far forward with Bruno as well. And then obviously you've got Garnacho on the left. And it's Garnacho's 37th consecutive start today, by the way, which is 19 years old for Manchester United.
It's not going to drop him for the final then, is it?
Massive achievement. It's a huge achievement, though, to be honest.
Terribly harsh if he did.
Yeah, he won't. But I don't
put it past him, though, would you?
I don't think he will. But Kev, Bruno starting alongside McTominay is kind of that false 9 position today. You've gone with his player to watch. He's going to keep up his form.
I picked him just to annoy Ricky because I knew it was really annoying. But I looked at just the Newcastle game. I thought everything about him was absolutely spot on. I think we definitely, regardless of what Ricky says, I think we missed him in the previous 2 games. Like I said, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. I thought just he was pressing, probing, looking for the passes that maybe a McTominay or somebody won't see. I know you like players that keep it simple and that, but... and I know his ball retention and stuff is something that has you tearing your hair out and stuff, giving away passes and that. But I think you need a player like that. Sometimes if you do play a McTominay and whoever, if Bruno's not there, yeah, you might keep the ball, but you're not getting that creativity which Bruno brings. He's a goal threat. And also that stat that he's created more chances than any other midfielder in the top 5 leagues, which I know is one that you're going to go, what kind of chances are them, man?
Can I tease the watchers?
Go on, tease them, Ricky.
I have got an absolutely fascinating stat to bring up.
Are you going to blow my mind as you usually
I think it will blow your mind. I've got a fascinating stat about the chance creation. Yeah. And I'll bring it up on the fans forum.
Brilliant.
It's going to take too long to discuss now. We haven't got time.
At least you pre-warned me anyway. Yeah. So.
Well, stay tuned, guys, to the fan forum after the game. Hope it's a positive one. Thing is, obviously, your mate Ricky, Danny Welbeck starting for Brighton, by the way.
He's one to watch.
Is that your one to watch? Yeah, Danny Welbeck.
Well, can I just say, obviously, it's De Zerbi's last game as the Brighton manager. That news kind of came out of nowhere.
Shocker, wasn't it?
That is going to put Man United on the back foot a little bit, away from home in a ground where it's going to be De Zerbi's send-off. I mean, really shocking news, to be honest with you, but that's something that kind of might build the atmosphere in favour of Brighton, Ricky, as well.
Well, certainly there'd be a good atmosphere for them, and they're a good team. They do play good football. They're not quite... I don't think they'll be quite at it this season as they've been in the last season or two. But again, everybody talks about injuries. They've had Mitoma missing for a long time, and I think he's an absolutely fantastic player, Mitoma. I don't think he's played since about November or something.
And they constantly lose the best players, don't they?
And they're always selling the best players. But Danny Welbeck's still there. He's starting today. Look, they're 10th, aren't they? It's still not bad for Brighton, but they've finished higher than that in recent years. They're 10th at the minute, and I think they could slip to 11th depending on the results today. But yeah, I would say we just seem to have a little turned the corner. So I'd say they're slight favourites with the home advantage. You know, they are a good side anyway. The manager's leaving today. I think the atmosphere will be fantastic for them. They're probably slight favourites.
It's more of an experiment, as we've said earlier, for Erik ten Hag today, to try this formation, the false nine thing again. And as United fans, all we want to see is, because we've literally run out of time now. Like you said earlier, you know, it'd have been nice to have 5 or 6 games left now where we went on a bit of a run.
See how it goes.
Yeah, and you take, even if he wants to play this false nine, play it 4 or 5 games in a row. And if it is positive and you look at it and you think, bloody hell, you know, we're getting men behind the ball, we're compact, you know, we're difficult to play against, at least you could take that into the game against City. The worst possible outcome, you know, if it all goes tits up, as they say today, and you kind of look, you know, that's it now. You know, you got a week's training, and then the big one next Saturday.
The one thing I would say is obviously the difference in quality in individual players is absolutely huge, and there is differences. But in terms of a warm-up for City, Brighton do play a similar sort of style to what City play. It's not as if it's a team that's going to, you know, turn up and park the bus. Not that many teams do that against
football.
United nowadays anymore anyway. But they do play that sort of football, and you know, Pep Guardiola has got massive respect for De Zerbi, and De Zerbi kind of employs his style no matter who he's against. So that will be a good test for Man United, and it's a team that we have struggled against in recent times as well. So it is a big test, and away from home as well is huge. Tell you what, these away fans deserve a result to send them off, because they have travelled continuously down south to just see bad result after bad performance. Brighton today when was the last time we even got a win at the Amex? It's been a long time. I feel like every time we go down there, it's a bad day at the office. So I really hope that the United players today can send off the away fans on a good note as well, because they've been so brilliant this season.
What's the last one? What was the goal? Was that not during COVID? Remember when they ended the game? Didn't they look back and it was a penalty and they come back out and Bruno took it?
After the final
They
whistle.
restarted the game, they scored, and then they blew the whistle.
That might be the last time.
That might be the last time.
It was in COVID, wasn't it?
It was in COVID, it was.
Was that a winner, or was that an equaliser?
No, it was
I think it was a
3-2.
winner.
It was
Was it a
3-2
winner? Yeah, it
was
was,
the
yeah.
winner.
Because he actually blew the whistle, they ended the game, the
the game
players
was
were going
over,
and then they said, we're checking something. Good old VAR, eh?
I think that's happened twice, hasn't it? Not just to us. I think it's happened once, but where they've given a penalty after the final whistle.
Well, Ricky, you're quickly, because we're going to do score predictions now, but your player to watch was Ahmad. My player to watch was Amrabat. Both start buzzing. Hopefully, if they have the good performances again today, they'll keep their place in the start 11 for the cup final. More to be discussed on the fan forum. But you guys, before we move over to Mark Goldbridge's last watch along of the Premier League season, we are going to do our final score predictions. Get yours in the comments as well. Hit a like on the video. Let us know what you think. Ricky, score prediction.
I'm going to speak about the 1.5 goals a game at length on the show afterwards.
Yes, can't wait.
We got 57 goals last season. We got 56 goals the season before. Today we need 1 goal to get 56 or 2 goals to get 57. It's the same, no matter who's playing for us. 3 years on the bounce. So I'm going to predict that we'll get 2 goals today and finish on 57, which is exactly 1.5 a game. And I'm going to go 2-2.
So you don't need a goal scorer that's scoring 30 goals a season like Rashford did last year. It'll be the same result, is what you're saying.
He scored 17 last season in the league. These are only league stats.
Yeah, okay, league stats.
I'm going to explain that afterwards.
Okay, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it on the forum. Get ready. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. I really hope I'm blowing bubbles, is all I'll say, but we'll see. Kev, your score prediction?
I can't see us keeping a clean sheet, but I'm Mr. Positivity. I'll go for 2-1. United. What are you laughing at?
I'll tell you that.
Oh, God. You're going 2-1. What was
2-1
yours?
United.
What was yours,
I've gone 2-2.
2-2.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with...
It's a tough one. It really is a tough one to call, but...
I'm going to go with 3-2 United. 3-2 United, the same scoreline as last time we won out there. I think that's the last time we won there. I can't check the stats now, but I know it's been a long time. I'm going to go with 3-2. I'm trying to think about what I've said now. People in the chat are like, I mean, what are your score predictions, guys? I mean, a lot of people are going with crazy scores. I think the sun's gone to the red. The sun's gone to the red a little bit. Ricky's shirt.
What's the chat saying? Is it just...
I mean, people are talking 8-0, 4-0. I mean, people are getting excited because of the last day of the season. Some people are saying to Brighton, some people are saying United. Benny says 4-1 to United. I mean, have we even... the last time we scored 4 goals in a game was against Wolves, weren't it? Where we beat them 4-3.
4-3, yeah. Once all season in the league, I think.
Is that once all season in the league?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so
a lot of people are drinking alcohol in the sun, aren't they, clearly?
7 goals. We don't score 3s and 4s very often.
No.
I mean, here's a little bit of team news while we wait for Mark to take over. Saka isn't starting for Arsenal.
Is he not?
He's out injured for today's game, so that's a little bit of a blow for
Can anything
them.
else go better for City today so far? Jeez.
We're all predicting a Man United win. It's the last game of the season in the Premier League. We've all had a bit of sun. I mean, it's the weekend. We're all feeling a bit happy. We've got the Coronas ready over there to watch the game with. Ooh. We're going for a Man United win. Be positive, everyone. You get in the chat your predictions in as well. I mean, in terms of who's going to win the Premier League, what are we all thinking?
Don't care. It's going to be City.
I do care because I so desperately want it not to be a certain team. I'm not even going to say today.
I was going to say,
they're going to win it.
I don't want to come across as bitter, but I absolutely
not
hate
win today when all they've got to do is win a home game. They're not going to.
It's in their hands. They've been there before, they've done it, and they'll become the first Premier League team to win 4 in a row.
West Ham got a few players missing as well.
One thing I would say is last season they did go 2-0 down to Villa, and they were at home. So, and it's David Moyes' send-off. Please.
But that City team's that good that all they did was just like, it's like poking a bear with a stick, isn't it, for a reaction. When Coutinho scored, you thought this is just all set up for Liverpool to kind of win the league, and then City, sometimes they just do that, don't they? If you annoy them that much, they'll just go right, and they've got that in them. And surely, in terms of what they've got to go for and what West Ham... Well, listen, David Moyes, if David Moyes is watching, do us a favour, lad. Come on.
Yeah.
Honestly, I am absolutely...
He always said, David Moyes, when he was United manager, he aspired to be like Man City, didn't he? And that was his downfall at Manchester United. But go out there and do it. If you do that, you'll be forever a legend at Manchester United.
And then obviously, if Newcastle lose today and Manchester United win, we would get that conference spot in 7th. Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about that? Would you want the conference spot? I'm
not interested, if I'm being 100% honest. And I know some people will say, oh, European football and that we need. It clashes. I've got stuff to do on Thursday nights and got the Thursday night show to do. I'll lose that.
That's your Thursday night show gone, Kev. Oh.
I don't like Thursday, Sunday. And I just think in terms of this team, I think there'll be that many changes this summer, players coming in, going out. You've seen Arsenal under Arteta have this, where they didn't have Champions League or European football, and it might just be nice to focus on.
There's pros and cons.
Yes, there certainly is.
The advantage of it is if you're not that bothered about it, I'm talking about that as the club now, not the fans. I'm not about the club. If you're not that too bothered about that Conference League, it gives you an opportunity in a competitive fixture to look at players who don't play very often.
Yeah.
So.
I just think
there are some benefits.
There are, and we were pathetic in the Champions League this season, weren't we? There's some people who will say, "What's the point of us, being?" But it is all being in there, and then the money that it generates, the players that you can go for. Because there's no doubt this summer there'll be some players that United might be trying to talk to now that'll be looking at United and thinking, is the manager still going to be there? What's going on? There's loads. Are they going to fix the roof? It keeps leaking.
I know we're not in it next season, but next season, is it not the first season of the new format for the Champions League?
Yeah, it is.
That's going to be interesting to watch how all that pans out. Any idea if the other two European tournaments taking the same format, or is it just the Champions League?
I'm not 100% on that, actually.
We need to check that.
Yeah, the Europa and the Conference
We need to check it, especially if we're in it.
Well, if we won the FA Cup, we'd move up to Europa League level.
Yeah.
Which, I mean...
That's the motivation. I mean, the Europa League...
I'd much rather have the Europa League.
100%. Because if you did win it, you get... we could have a bad season, hopefully. I hope we don't, but at least you've got that carrot that's dangled where you go, well, if we go out and actually perform in this and win it, then you're in the Champions League the next season. Mourinho did it at United, didn't he? He put all his eggs in that basket that season. We finished outside top 4, but when he won it, it was a huge lift.
Well, that's the thing. Europa League for me is the key. Europa Conference, I could take it or leave it, to be honest with you. But we'll see what happens on today's last games of the Premier League. We're about to go. Mark Goldbridge is now live. Go and like this video first, and then go and raid Mark's chat with Moyes Madness. Moyes Madness, he's going to do it. We're hoping and praying.
Now then, after it.
Now then, Moyes Madness. Go and show that to Mark. He'll probably have something to say about it. He's not been liking what I've been raiding the chat with recently, but go and raid the chat with that. Everyone enjoy the last game of the Premier League. Manchester United, come on, let's see it out on a high. Let's see out a very poor season on a high. Go into a cup final with a good away win under our belts. Ricky, thank you. Kev,
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Mords will be joining us as well for the forum later on, and you've got all Ricky's interesting little takes to come. He's got two belters to come, so make sure.
It's going to blow your mind.
It's going to blow your minds, everyone. Get taught a footballing lesson and join us on the forum later. Enjoy the game, everyone, and come on United. Let's go.